Let me introduce you to Uncle Alan Parsons. Uncle Alan is from Central Queensland. He has connections to the Bidjira and Yiman groups, and his family name on his father's side is Wadi. Yeah? Now, we're at the Gathering of Kindness in Melbourne, and I wanted to introduce you to Uncle Alan so he can tell you a story about the simplest act that had a transformative effect. So, please tell us your story.
Thank you, Celia. Yes. So the cultural name to this land is Nam, and so the people from this land I would like to acknowledge and say I am honoured to be here and to be able to have this gathering of kindness where lots of people have shared their stories and spoken about how important it is to show kindness, to demonstrate kindness, to live kindness in sometimes the most simplest ways, and how that can create amazing energies, transformations, awareness and understandings of who we are, what we are. When I was a young person, around 8 years old, and there was a long history of me being in hospitals. I was born with a medical condition that necessitated me being in hospital, and I would be in there for lengths of time, and we're talking about months and months and months. And so I was struggling with my own medical condition, which was fragile bones, lots and lots and lots of fractures. And I was in a pretty dark space, a space of frustration, a space of anger, a space of, not a very nice person to be around. And you can understand that setting is creating that. But in the hospital system, in those days, I'm talking about the 1960s, there was no ICU or intensive care units. Just didn't exist. And so the sickest person was put in a bed next to the sister's desk. There was this big old desk and so one day this little girl came in, and she was of Italian descent. And I know that because when she came in, the whole of her family wanted to be with her, but that wasn't allowed to happen because of the setting and the circumstances. So they had a roster system of 2 at a time, which was, just aware of that. Anyway, this little girl, I cannot remember her name, but maybe we should call her Maria to acknowledge her. And she'd been accidentally shot with a shotgun in her chest. So she was in pretty bad shape. She was not well. And so she was brought in and they did the x-rays, they found all the shotgun pellets and major surgery. And I'm in the bed opposite, and I'm tuning into all this or witnessing all this, and there's this hubbub of all these medical people and nursing people, everyone concentrating all their efforts on doing what they can to give Maria the best possible chance of getting through this rather profound sort of situation. So I'm witnessing all this, and she was about my age, about 8. And this went on for quite some time, and she had to have multiple surgeries, and there was infection, and there was trauma, and there was a lot of stuff that had impact upon her little body. And I was trying to navigate through what I was trying to navigate And so what happened was she had a recovery thing that happened. So she was starting to rally, and then there was one time when we were down in the room with the showers and baths. Well, it wasn't showers, it was baths. And so I was there in that room, and they brought her down. And she had a dressing on her wound, and they put her into a little bit of water, and they gently poured the water over her, and she felt that on her body, and then they washed her hair. And being Italian, she had the most beautiful black hair, and they washed it gently, and then they dried her hair, and then they combed her hair, and they plaited it. And even though this is a long time ago, I do remember as if it happened just yesterday or last week. It was that powerful to see that actually happening. And that little Maria was in that space of bliss, you know, and that simple little act of kindness, of caring, that's way outside the medical thing. It was engaging with the humanity, with the essence of life itself. And so what happened was she seemed to rally. And then she was taken back to the bed, and she was still pretty ill. And then I'm in the bed opposite, and I'm witnessing all this. And there was this massive shift that was starting to develop from within my awareness of why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? Why am I upset? Why am I whinging and complaining? And when this little girl, Maria, has such courage, and she's got a will to live that is profound and amazing. And by the way, all these medical people are doing all they can to help me through this as well. So this is like putting things in a perspective. And I'm 8. Anyway, the thing was that in that space of time, about the 8 months that she was there, she had connected with medical people, with surgeons. She connected with the hospital nursing staff. She connected with the cleaners who come in and clean. Right, everyone is part of this. This is an amazing energy focus toward. And then what happened was she had a big relapse, and she actually died. She actually died. And in the middle of the night, they put the curtains around every other bed, a big long ward with all these beds on. And I remember hearing the sound of the trolley coming in, and they lifted her little body onto the trolley. We couldn't see it, but you could hear it all. And then the trolley went out, and that bed was then vacant. But what Maria had gifted in that short space of time was her deep appreciation for everything that everyone had done to give her the very best possible chance. And they did give her that window. So she was able to experience that opportunity of really valuing and appreciate the simple things, the little simple things that so many of us take for granted every single day. And it really reflects kindness in action. And it shows that sometimes we don't understand or know just how powerful small acts of kindness can have the most profound implications and profound consequences.
And what happened for you?
So the outcome was that all of a sudden there was this opportunity within me to reassess and revalue and think, righto, what are you complaining about? What are you going on about? So what happened was all the anger and the frustration and everything else seemed to just go. And it just seemed to lift. So that then I was able to be in a space of incredible calmness, incredible gratitude, deepest appreciation. And so it really started to create this internal adjustment of all those negatives into an amazingly powerful positive. And so just recently I finished reading a book by Dr. Bruce Lipton called The Biology of Belief. And in that narrative, he talks about when our conscious and subconscious mind is able to come into alignment, we can actually reprogram our DNA. We can do that. And I feel that's what had happened, to the point where from that point on, all the fractures that I was having with this medical condition that I was born with seemed to get less and less and less and less. And I had surgery to put steel in next to my bones to support the bones. And the last fracture I had was when I was about 15. Haven't had one since. And I've done some pretty wild things too, by the way.
And what was the expectation for you at 8? What did the medical community think was going to be your future?
So, from that point on, it just went from strength to strength, strength to strength. So to this day, I see an endocrinologist who's to deal with genetics, and she just shakes her head and says, here you are, you know. Next year I shall be 70. And so people who are born with this medical condition, according to the textbooks, aren't expected to live beyond 30. So it just shows that how an act of kindness or a reflection on that kindness can actually have deep consequences within all of us. And for me personally, it's beautiful to be able to share that story, because that enabled me to realign to the point where I'm here today, and I'm able to share all that I have with whoever I connect with and whoever I engage with, and to encourage them to seek out ways to express kindness and to express gratitude and to express appreciation for even the simplest things.
Good on you, Uncle. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us.